Hi guys, I have a surprise for you. So in your last activity bag, you got a game that looks like this. It has a lot of buttons on it. And it's got a cat on it. And then if you turn it on the other side with more buttons, it's got a cat on a skateboard. And it came with 2 of these boxes that are dice, and they have buttons on them. So the directions are with the game. I hope you play the game with mom and dad. But part of the reason I gave you that game is because we have a friend. And he's a friend that I know you all really enjoy. I'm gonna see if you can guess who it is. So he's gonna sneak up. There he is! Who is this? Who is this? That's right, it's Pete the cat. Say hi, everybody. Pete the cat says hello. Pete the cat has a wonderful book he wants to read. He wants me to read because Pete the cat can't read. And it's Pete the cat and his 4 groovy buttons. So I'm gonna read that book for you. We'll see Pete again in a little bit. Let's read the book about Pete. And so, doesn't this look familiar? It looks a lot like our game, doesn't it? So, it's got lots of buttons. It's really cool. Buttons are a great way to practice counting and sorting and all kinds of things. So, Pete the cat and his 4 groovy buttons. We'll have to count his buttons, make sure he has 4 in a little bit. Pete the cat put on his favorite shirt with 4 colorful, round, groovy buttons. He loved his buttons so much that he sang this song. Oh, let's turn the page. My buttons, my 4 groovy buttons. My buttons, my 4 groovy buttons. You can sing along with me next time you hear it. Pop! Oh no! One of the buttons popped off and it rolled away. So he started off with 4 groovy buttons and 1 popped off. So if you take away 1 of those buttons, how many buttons are left? Did you count? Let's see. 3! You know what? You just did subtraction. 4 buttons minus 1 button equals 3. That's right. Kiss your brain. You are so smart. So he has 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens next. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept singing his song, and you guys can help me. My 3 groovy buttons. My 3 groovy buttons. Did you sing that time? Pop! Oh no! What happened? Another button popped off and it rolled away. So, how many buttons are left? So he only had 3 buttons and 1 of them popped off. How many buttons does he have? Can you count? Let's turn the page. Find out if we're right. 2. He had 3 and 1 popped off, and that leaves us with 2. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept singing his song. All right, help me sing the song. My 2 groovy buttons. My 2 groovy buttons. He really likes his buttons, doesn't he? Oh, I see an ice cream truck, but uh-oh, Pop! Oh popped off and it rolled away. Look at that, big green button is the one that popped off. How many buttons were left? Remember, he only had 2 left and 1 popped off. How many buttons are left on his favorite shirt? Let's see if we're right. 1, because 2 minus 1 is 1. Good counting. Kiss that brain of yours. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept singing his song. Help me sing. My button, my button, my one groovy button. My button, my button, my one groovy button. What do you think's gonna happen next? Pop! Oh no! The last button popped off and rolled away. What do you think that Pete was doing? It looks like he's got his surfboard on a car. Maybe he was going to the beach. But let's figure out this. Another button popped off and it rolled away. He only had 1 button and it popped off and rolled away. How many buttons does he have left? Let's see. 0. He had 1. It went away and now there's 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. Pete looked down at his buttonless shirt, and what do you think he saw? His belly button! And he kept singing his song. We all have a belly button, don't you know? All right, you guys have to help me sing the last one. And he says, it's all good. My button, still have my belly button. My button, I still have my belly button. I guess it simply goes to show that stuff will come and stuff will go. But do we cry? Goodness, no. We keep on singing. Buttons come and buttons go. How many buttons do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. That's the end of the story. That was such a fun book. We love Pete the Cat. And Pete the Cat loves us reading his book. Look, he's got on his shirt and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 groovy buttons. My 4 groovy buttons. My 4 groovy buttons. I hope you enjoyed our story, and I hope you play the game and have lots of fun counting buttons. And I hope if you do, you will tell me about it and tell me if you like that game or not. Have fun. I love you guys. I hope you have lots of fun.